Hey folks, welcome to the stream tonight, and we have fixed up our ladder problem. Okay, now it ended up being a lot simpler of a fix than originally. So basically what we did was we got the forward vector of our ladder and made our ladder go in that direction. Okay. Then we set the bottom collision to the bottom box. Then we get our maximum Z, which is going to be the length of our ladder. Okay. And we get the scale and we actually multiply these, and then we make that the ladder length. Then we get the forward vector, multiply it by the ladder length, and that's it. That is it. We set the climb difference, we draw a debug line, we set the world on the top collision, and that is it, my friends. The ladder is now functional. So when we bring it in, like for example, if we bring in the ladder, we have the direction of it. So all we need to do is basically give it a direction. We can spin it round, which was the thing that was causing us the issues. But now that we have the forward vector, we end up with our line going to there. So we lift it up, bring it down, press play. You can see our line going from the top to the bottom of that one, and similarly with that one, and similarly with that one. Okay, so we can actually walk up to this, press climb, and up we go. And there we have it. We have our ladders technically functioning. So we're going to delete a couple of these out. And now what we're going to do is work on these other objects. Now this is an item type clothing, right? And that is basically rubbish. But what we're going to have to do is have a look at this stuff and see what we need to do. If we pick a weapon, right, we can create an interactable. So now if we press play, we should be able to do something with it, which we can. We can use it, but weapons don't do anything, so there you have it. We can say pick up and can inspect. And the one we actually want to work on is more info, right? So we can pick it up, and now you can see that our thing did not go into our inventory. Okay, so we can now go about trying to fix that. Or let's actually put it another way, right? Let's delete that and let's see what is actually working. So we have food. Okay. And we can select that. We can press play. And we can pick it up. And that's not going in either. Okay. So what we need to know is what's in our inventory. And what's in our inventory was actually an inventory item. Okay, so we may need to do a little bit here. And I've been trying to avoid this with a little bit of procrastination, but it is beginning to become a little bit unavoidable. So with that in mind, we're going to go about this in a couple of ways. We are going to our pawn. Okay. And we have an inventory. And what we're going to do is we're going to create another inventory. Or are we? Well, actually, the answer to that is probably no. But we're going to do it anyway. We're going to say new inventory. Okay. And that is going to be BP base interactables. And that is going to be an array. Okay. Now at the moment we have this struct inventory item. Okay. Now we're going to have to change the struct inventory item. Okay. Let's row name an integer. And that's interactable item. And integer. Now, we're probably going to have to do this again, and it's probably going to muck the whole thing up for a while. But in the first instance, this row name and quantity, and it's going to have to be item type. Okay, because each of these are now going to go to different tables rather than having one big table, right? We're going to have to, it's going to have to be item type. It's going to be an enum. Okay, so it's going to be enum. Enum interactable type. Okay, so basically are we still going to be in the same problem, or are we going to be back to the same problem that we had in the first place? Well, right, that's going to help, right? Either way, that's going to help. So, in our interactable items, right, the thing that we want to look at is food. Okay, now what we need to look at here is our interactable items, right? And basically our struct food. We can have those two, which is fine. So if we look at the deer meat, the question is, how much does this give? Right, and that's actually fine because there's another table somewhere and as you can see here we have this here. Right, and this is, so, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to redo this. Right, and what we're going to do in this is we're going to say 5, let's say 15, we shall add that, we shall say row 3, this one should be 15, this one should be 10, okay, and then we add here, we say row 4, we say 20, we might not want to go any higher than the next one, okay, so fundamentally we've got our data tables with the values, right? So we basically say new variable, and we say should value food value and that's going to be a name because it's going to be a row, okay. So when we create food, right, it's going to have food details, and that's going to be struct food, okay. Now if we go back to our editor, okay, delete that, and this is where we can start doing a bit of stuff. Okay, so we've got this, and what we want that to do is to do that, which creates our food, right? Now we also want it to now give us the food version of the information we need. Right? So we go into our editor helper. Okay. And this is going to have or at least right this we're going to create CP this is going to be CP food. Right? And actually at the bottom of this in this widget switcher. Hey Disnez, how you doing, bud? Right, so if you click on food, we're going to show the food widget, okay? Which is going to basically be a drop down right? So it's going to be a combo box in here. Right? And this food box, if we go to the graph, we can actually build this at the start, right, on our event construct. And we should really start tidying some of this up as well. So I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of all this. I'm going to get rid of this. And hopefully we'll be left with something a bit clearer. Right, so we're not doing anything with... Here's our food. Okay. So, in theory, we have got a widget switch here. You can see that here. Right, so we basically do this. Control copy that. We go to our food. Oh, it looks like we've got the bots tonight. Oh, I've went and deleted. Oh, sorry, Disnez. It was those bots. I was trying to delete them, remove them hiding through the channel. Which one are you using, C++ or BPs for this game? Well, I thought that was kind of obvious at the moment. the idea is to probably move some stuff to blueprints. But we shall see. Now, in theory now, this is 0, 1, 2 and 3, okay? So for food, as an example, we're going to be switching our widget switcher, our second one, right, to an active index. So we're going to copy that. We're going to do that. Then we're going to change that to 3. So in theory now, if I delete that, right, and I minimize this, then we go to our items and we're going to select food. So there's the food. Now this is a bit outsized because I've got the widget reflection thing on. So if I do that, then we get this thing here, which is excellent. So that's exactly what we want. Now all I need to do here is break this if I want to get it back, and then basically join it back up again. That's why I needed a button. But now what I can do we're on event construct, right? So we're doing all that stuff first, right? And I don't know what this D drink is. No idea. Have to check that one out. Okay. So we need to find out where we go to our, right, where are we? Right, we're in the right place. I'm just getting myself confused here. Combo box string 52. Now that's not really a good name for it. So we'll call it CBX for combo box, and then food value. Okay. And now what we can do is get data table rows. Come on, get data table. Get data table row names. And that's going to be food items. It's not really anymore, it's really food. Well, yeah, it is. Okay, I'll give it. Then for each we're going to put these into functions, by the way, once we get around to it. And that's data table row, if I can bother spelling it right. date table food items. And then what we do is we get our CBX food value. Add option. And we put that in there. Okay, and we shall add this on to here, although we're going to turn this into a function. Okay, now when we click this, we are going to update our value, right? So we didn't want to do that. Right, we know that's not working properly. So we can minimize that. Right, and we can delete, not that. We can delete our food again. Right. And so we can save food, select that. And then this has now got 5, 10, 15, 20. And the problem here is that I've kind of duplicated our problem. Okay. I'm kind of running myself round in circles here. Okay. So you'll see here we've got a struggle. Right, we've got this. And this is the thing we need. Okay. So this should actually be linked to a food table. Okay. So this is our DT food items. Okay. And this should actually be linked to a different thing. We've got struct food. But struct food is actually name image food value. So this DT food items isn't the correct thing. Okay. So we're going to go into here, and we've got our struct, and we've got our struct food. Now that's the one we want. Now this isn't going to be that, this is going to be a float. In fact, it's going to be an integer. Right? Now, we have got data tables, right? But we've got this food table, which is basically in the wrong place, right? So we need to go there, and it's in components, which is kind of the wrong place because we're not using components for this. So let's get them deleted and rename this to something. Now this is struct food, right? And we aren't going to use that. We're going to cancel that. That was drink actually. And yeah, this is wrong. This is right. Okay. So, once again, we're going to have to bite the bullet here. We're going to have to delete that. And then we're going to have to delete the struct food. And then we're going to have to recreate right, so the next thing is food. And we're going to rename this folder. And we're going to call it item type data tables. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a data table, and it's going to come from food. Okay. And we're going to call it food types. And we're going to add one. And we're going to call it deer meat. And it's going to be SM meat. And the value is going to be 25. Now, I'm just working with these numbers just now, right? But in our editor, these are the values that we should be setting. Okay. So if you pick this meat, right, so I'm going to copy that, and in our row name we're going to say deer meat. Okay. And in our, well, I've managed to close everything down somehow. In here, we're going to go to our graph. Okay. So in here we've got an issue. Right? Because we kind of do need certain things. Okay, now let's have a look at this data table. Item type is correct. Right, now the interesting thing should be here, we're getting the row name, but we're not really using it. Right, so we've got a food here, but we can actually change this to deer meat. Right, and then we can read the other table to get the appropriate information. Okay. So we've got the image in the mesh, even though we don't actually need the image in the mesh. If we save the mesh, we've got the image, all we need to do is save the mesh in the other place. Right? So we can just basically get these values, and when we create the mesh widget we can just create add in the row name and read it back again once we actually get it, right? So we can say mesh pick, we can get the graph, right? We can have a look at variables. We can pass in row name, right? And that's going to be a name, and we're going to spawn it so that we can actually get the right thing. Okay, we're going to crash instead. Right. We're kind of beginning to get our bit between the teeth here. Okay. So while this is loading up, I'm going to go and have a quick break. If you're enjoying the stream, hit like, subscribe. I'll be back in a moment. Okay guys, we are back and this does not seem like a good crash. This might be a major issue. We're gonna have to check to see where we are. Now it's opening the editor, so that's not such a bad thing. Right. So we've got our struct food, right? And we need the mesh. Okay. And in this case, it's going to be a static mesh, most likely. Right, and then we're going to move it up. We're going to save that. And we're going to go to our food types. And this is going to be SM meat. And we're going to save that. Okay. Next question is, how much have we lost? Right? Right, that's fine. Right, because this is not going to be food types. Okay. So we're going to delete this to kick off with, right? And that solves all that issue. But now we have another issue. Okay. And that issue is that when we select an item type, we need to go to the proper okay. So we need to redo this. Okay. This item helper. Okay, in the struct item helper, is going to have two things. Okay, and we're not going to deal with that just yet. We're going to go to DT item helper. Right now, all we need in here is the row. Okay. And that's going to be deer meat. Okay, we don't need the mesh, we don't need the image. We just need the row name and the item type. Okay, and that's going to give us what we need. So we can basically remove that and remove that. Save that. Right, so now this is not correct. Now this is struct food. This is food types. Right, that's okay. Right, so that's going to be deer meat. Except we're going to spell it properly. This to start off with, this is going to take a little bit of time. Struct item helper. Right, and all it's going to do is have, yeah, there we go. So that's deer meat. Okay, now in here, this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. Right. Because our mesh item data is going to be a little different every time. No, it's not. No, it's not. Right, we've got an item data coming in. Right, now what is that item data? It is a struct item helper. Right, and okay. So if we go back to here, what we do is we say make the struct item helper. And this struct item helper is actually going to be the 4 things we need. But it's going to be 4 different things we need. depending on and that's not right either. That's going to be a texture 2D, right? Then we're going to have a static mesh. So that's going to be image. That's going to be mesh. And that's going to be row name. Right? And that's going to be a name. Okay. So we basically set these up depending on which of these things they are. Right? So we can do this so we can switch on the item type. We'll get this working for one, and then that will show proof of concept here. Right? And it's going to be food. Okay, so we're gonna data table, get data table row, and this is going to be coming from food types, and we're going to be saying that and probably the best thing idea here is to make this a temp, right? So we can just set this depending on which of the tables we're grabbing from. Right? We just go image and mesh, and that's going to be food. Okay, then we basically grab that stuff and what we'll do is we shall add a variable, and it's going to be temp item helper, right? And it's going to be struct item helper, and then basically what we'll do is we'll set it here right? And then these are all going to join onto here. And then that is going to go in there. Okay. And that should do us. So that goes in there. So in theory, it's not going to work when we click on it, right? But it should have shown us our thing. So, we can't add breakpoints. Okay. So it is creating one. And we might actually be able to do, if we go to our mesh pick, if we've still got it up. Yeah, we have. Oh, and it's crashed again. Not good. Not good. So it's our mesh pick that's causing us a lot of problems here. Which is obviously awesome. And we're going to have to load this up again, which we did. Going to OK that. Right, and it doesn't like that again. We're going to open these and see where we stand. And it looks like we're kinda okay. Right, I'm going to fix this first. Right, so let's try and refresh the nodes here. Okay. That's fine. Right, so apparently that's it. Now, I'm not convinced in any way that that is actually fixed. We're going to go to maps. And we're going to open up our test map. Okay. Oh, look at our ladders. Our ladders are all over the place here. That's not so good. Right, what we got here? Yeah, we've got it screwed. Oh, that seems okay. Although we need to make that deer meat. Okay. Excuse me. Right. So, if we go back here, click on that, food, we get our thing, which is awesome. When we click on it, nothing happens, of course, because, just because, so, if we go back to our mesh picker, on clicked. That doesn't seem right at all, in the slightest. Hang on a second. Ah, okay. That's actually fine. That should go to there. So that's actually not so bad. Right, so if we go to here, food, click, right? And now, if we create interactable, it's screwed. Which kind of doesn't surprise me. Right? So, we're okay, we're gradually working our way through this. This was always going to be an absolute bleeding nightmare, right? So, we are going here. And we are setting the mesh. Now, the question is, what is our mesh? Right, so what we want to do is find references. And I believe it was in this mesh pick. When we click on this, we set the mesh. Right? Now, when we pass through here, right, I'm going to delete this, and that's going to reset that. Now it's setting this, but it isn't setting the mesh. Okay. Now, the interesting thing here would be, of course, if I basically say food, click on it, and then hit mesh only. Now that works fine. Okay. If I delete that, and I say create interactable, it's bad. Okay, now what we have to figure out is why it doesn't like it here. So we can delete that. We're getting the item type, and it is going in here. Right, and it's going in here, now the only thing that I can think of actually here is something has happened to BP food. Okay, and yes, it has. And this should be food types. And refresh nodes. Delete that. And food value should not be a name. Right. Right. That should be 10. Save that. Back to BP food. We'll hide that. Refresh that. Okay. cancel that. We don't want to do that. All we're trying to do here is get this blooming editor to work. We're cool with that. Create interactable. Bang. There we go. We are kind of back where we wanted to be. Okay. Now, the thing is, because it's a BP food, right? And because it has basically lost me adding that variable, we can add a struct food, and it's going to be struct food. Okay. And actually the only value we really want here is this food value. So if we come back to here, this is our food. Right? So we're going to cast it to food. Okay. And we actually have a problem here. Another one. In trying to engineer this well, it's causing us a lot of issues. Now the interesting thing here is when we select this, no, that's just switching, so that's no good. It's more like when we do our mesh pick. Right? We can't really do that. So what we're going to have to do in here, we're going to have to set up a temporary row name, and we're going to have to set it in our temp row name. Okay, and that's going to be a name. We're going to save that, and then when we go to our mesh pick, right, we're going to set up our mesh, right, and then we're going to say temp row, set temp row name, right, and we're going to set that there, and when they come back in here, right, we're going to come in here, okay, and then we're going to get data we're going to get data table row, we're going to drag in our temporary row name there, we're going to get it for DT food types, right, we're going to get our out row, right, and then with this we're going to say struct food, get struct food, right, this is getting a bit complicated. We're going to say set members and struct, right, and we're going to say food value, and then we're going to set the struct, alright, so we're going to do that here, then here, then here, and in fact we're going to do that here and here, and then we're going to try it. So we're going to delete that, we're going to minimize this, right, and we didn't get a food value, and on that note we're going to thing it for the night because the grandson is in, so there's lots of noise, and we're going to call it there. So if you've watched, thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe. I shall catch you guys tomorrow at 2 p.m. Thanks again, guys. Bye for now.